Good morning, stream. How's everybody doing today? Again, Neil Lewis back, and fully immersed in the world of Memphis and what's going on here in the city. And so today's a rainy day, July 5th, but it's a good day. It's a good day to be a Memphian. It's a good day to be here talking to you guys 100%. So let's jump right into it. So I saw a story this morning about a vehicle booting company sues Tennessee over new state law. And it did come across the radar that there was a new law enacted, I believe July 1st, about booting and towing in the state of Tennessee. And here in Memphis, there was a big uproar for a lot of months. I spoke on it previously, but from my understanding, freight trucks that go over the road across the country come through Memphis, stop in rest stops, and ended up getting booted. The drivers of those trucks, they would stay in the truck to make sure that they didn't get towed. But ultimately, they put boots on the trucks. Sometimes, in some cases, they actually towed the trucks, and those drivers were required, and the companies ultimately of those trucks ended up having to pay tens of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars, period, to get the truck back and get back on the road to get to their destination. What it was doing was it was slowing up commerce. So that freight that they were carrying wasn't making the destination in time. And so that hurt the trucking companies, and the drivers decided not to stop, or the overall sentiment was, we're not stopping in Memphis anymore. The city council got involved. I know they suspended the license of that tow company. I'm not sure whether or not they've come to some type of resolution here, specifically in Memphis, but we haven't heard anything since probably March about the tow company involved here in Memphis. That being said, so the story came up of a tow company that is, or a booting company. I don't know whether or not they offer tow services as well, but a booting company suing the state of Tennessee for the new law that's been enacted. So I wanted to jump into that story, see why they are suing the state of Tennessee, which is a good way to stop the law from being observed. Obviously during that period of time, I'm not sure if they revert back to whatever the previous law was, but that buys the time, or it can ultimately change the result of that company and what the law is supposed to do. So digging into that company, digging into the law, and I'd like to see what the law itself says. So I'll jump on over here, and I brought up the story. So this was through News Nation. I am conscious of the outlets that I receive news from, but let's just take a look to see what the story says, and then maybe, we can form our own opinion whether or not it might be nonsense or not. So this booting company is in Nashville, Tennessee, but it applies across the state. So they're the ones who brought forward the complaint on this new law. So Nashville Booting Company, LLC, is suing Tennessee's governor and attorney general over a new state law they claim legislates them out of existence. That's a problem, if that's the way that they feel. The law, which went into effect July 1st, places regulations on booting companies across the state, including capping the boot removal fee at $75, requiring companies to remove the boot within 45 minutes of the car owner requesting its removal, and requiring the boot companies to have a license to operate. I don't understand the problem yet, in all honesty. The bill's sponsor previously told lawmakers the legislation is meant to target bad actors in the booting business. If you're going to go to the egregious step of immobilizing someone's vehicle when there could be an emergency, you've got a sick child that you need to get to the hospital, and you come out and you find that your vehicle has been immobilized, those people need to be held accountable, Senator Jack Johnson said. However, Nashville's Booting LLC called the provision in the law banning commercial parking lot owners from using third-party boot companies unconstitutional and claimed it will cause irreparable harm in a lawsuit against Tennessee. The act effectively legislates Nashville booting out of existence by requiring that only owners of properties manage booting or towing vehicles parked on those properties, the lawsuit says. Nashville man Stephen Knapp called Nashville Booting LLC lawsuit karma after the same company booted his car without a valid permit, which is required by Metro Nashville's booting ordinance. It's interesting to see that a company like Nashville Booting was found not to be following the rules for their business, is now suing the state passing a law meant to protect people from exactly that type of behavior, Knapp said. Nashville Booting LLC argued that in the lawsuit, the law prevents them from fulfilling services agreed upon in more than 60 contracts. The company also claimed it takes great care to comply with Metro Nashville's booting code at all times. However, Nat pointed out the company hadn't followed the booting code when the Metro Nashville Transportation License Commission ordered Nashville Booting LLC to refund around 400 drivers whose cars their employees booted when the company was operating on an expired permit. Nashville Booting should read the room, Knapp said. If they're going to go to court and demand to be able to continue this practice, they should not be lying to the court in which they seek favorable order from. During a recent Metro Nashville Transportation Licensing Commission meeting, an attorney for the city told members of the commission the new state law will create a lot of change for booting companies. It does seem to me to be very disruptive of their current business model. The state law temporarily banned booting across Tennessee when it went into effect July 1st. Until local municipalities can pass an ordinance regulating booting in compliance with the new legislation. That's interesting. I'm not seeing the issue. I can understand if you're in that industry. I'm not seeing the issue with the law. It makes no sense. I mean, it's real simple, actually. It says the law places regulations on booting companies across the state, including the capping the boot removal fee at $75. I don't understand. $75 is more than enough to get a boot off of your car. And for some reason, these booting companies want to charge exorbitant amounts of money. I mean, $400, $300, whatever the number is. That's and I'll tell a story about that here in a minute. But okay, so they capped the removal fee at $75, requiring companies to remove the boot within 45 minutes of the car owner requesting its removal. And then obviously having a license to operate. You can't argue that. You need to have a license to operate to be able to, and then especially if you're putting people at an inconvenience. So, and then it says something else real interesting right here as well. So this needs to be applied also to having your car towed from an area because of the same type of principle. The reason why they put the boot on the car, well, they could put the boot on the vehicle. And they can tow it, or they can just tow it. That happened to me. I was actually in another area, and I was parked in a Walmart parking lot, and I was going to be there for a few days. So instead of parking my car some, indiscriminate place where I didn't know what would happen to the car, I just parked it in the Walmart parking lot. Super crazy because I left it there for probably 4 days or so. I went and got it, and I had to drive somewhere, and I was gone for a couple of days. And I said, well, you know what? It was good. I'm glad I parked right underneath a camera, so if anything happened to it, obviously I can just go in there and talk to the security people and get whatever video footage, XYZ. I didn't want anything to happen in my car, but if it did, there was some type of coverage there. And I wasn't disrupting anything. I don't believe that I was in an area that Walmart parking lot is huge. So I parked my car there again, and went back in probably 2 days, and literally my car was gone. So I thought it was stolen. Went inside Walmart, talked to people that I needed to talk to, which was a whole ordeal by itself. Found out it got towed. Why, I have no clue. My car wasn't doing anything to anybody. Found the tow company. Got the telephone number to the tow company and called them. $475 to get my car out of tow, to go pick up my car from wherever they towed it to. That's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'll say that wasn't here in Memphis, but these are the types of things that happen. I talked the guy down. I mean, this happened around Christmas time. So, I'm sitting there saying it may have been $425. $425, what are we talking about right now? No, I can probably do $200. Nobody has $425 just sitting around waiting to be I don't know about other people. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that, can pay that fee and it won't even be a hit. It'll be like spending $5. But me, that's not the case. And I believe for the majority of people, it's not the case either. Told them $250 or $200 or something around that number. And the guy had the audacity to tell me $375 was the lowest he can go. I think that they normally charge $40 a day or something like that to $40 a day to hold the vehicle, and then the tow. And that was the first day it had been there. So essentially, I'm paying for a $375 tow for them to tow it away a mile and 1.2 miles. That was insulting. I mean, and then you don't have any recourse. You can't go and tell somebody immediately. You still have to spend the money. Then you have to pay for a lawyer, so on and so forth. I mean, it's taxing all the way around. That pissed me off. And I know that most people you feel the same exact way. So when they put regulations on this type of thing, I love that. Now, I wonder what would happen if they don't come remove the boot within 45 minutes of requesting the removal. What happens then? Is that fee waived at that point? I don't know. We could look at the law to see more clearly or see whether or not that's the case. But if they're going to go through those steps to inconvenience a person, and I wasn't, anybody that's in that situation 9 times out of 10, they're not doing anything egregiously. They have a reason for doing it. And there's no posting saying X, Y, Z. I think in the case of boots, more than likely, you may be in a paid parking lot and you didn't pay that fee. So there's a boot put on your car. And if that's the case, I mean, that's the chance that you take. But I like the fact that there's some type of regulation and we're conscious of what's to be expected. And the booting company is conscious also of what's to be expected. And if they're complaining about it, they need to get out of that damn industry, honestly. Okay, so we have the guy that's talking about the this is the state senator that's speaking in favor of the law and I guess you could say condemning the booting companies. It's frivolous at the end of the day. I mean, this lawsuit is just something that they're trying, I'm surprised they have the money to, if they get put out of business, I understand that they have contracts probably to manage whatever parking lots or areas that they normally boot on. And I believe that the law says, it says right here, the act effectively legislates Nashville booting. Well, no. Let's see what it says. Where was that at? Okay, so there's a provision in the law banning commercial parking lot owners, so the owners of the parking lot, from using third-party booting companies. And then, obviously Nashville booting says that it will cause irreparable harm. I mean, look, if you have a lot, then you need to manage that lot. You need to check to make sure that, and it makes sense that a booting company would own a lot. So as far as Nashville booting is concerned, they need to buy some lots. It seems like that would be part of the game because I mean you're doing contracts with parking lot owners so that you can. But so if that's your main source of income, there's no other income coming in as far as cars parking on that lot. The only income that you have is booting. So what's your incentive? It's to put as many boots on the car as possible so you can make money. So the only reason that they're going out of business, if everybody went and they paid at that kiosk, put the ticket in their car, then they wouldn't make any money anyways. So you know that they're going to be egregious with the things that they do because they need to make $75 today, make $150 today, because not everybody's not paying. And then there's stringent rules that are put into place to make sure that they come take that boot off immediately so people can get on about their business after they've been taken advantage of. Or, the time may have ran out. These people might just be sitting. You may be in court, for example. Okay. You might be in court and you park in a parking lot and you're in that court longer than you expect to be. You're watching the time to make sure that, okay, my meter might be getting short. But you can't leave out right at that moment. Then you come outside, and it might be 15 minutes late. I bet you that booting company, they probably make sure of each car that's on that lot. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that each car is on that lot, see exactly where it is, set a timer. Okay, this car right here is going to be 30 minutes from now. We're going to swing back around here in 30 minutes and see what's going on. And then, boom, 30 minutes, slap that boot on. And you came out 5 minutes later like, damn. Now I understand it's the responsibility of the person that's in that lot. 100% I understand that responsibility. But if that booting company isn't making money any other way, that's exactly what they're going to do. So what do you expect? That's a little wild. I highly doubt that lawsuit will ultimately end up going anywhere. But it's interesting, I mean, they need to find another way or purchase, use whatever they have a tow side also. Then, they need to lean on their tow side more. If they are obviously, they need to lean on their tow side more or buy some parking lots. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on this and see what's going on with it. I think that's a real interesting deal right there. So, there was a couple of other, so like the Tennessean also has a story on it. And again, this is out of Nashville. Okay, so cool. They have numbers. In a lawsuit filed in Chancery Court on Monday, Nashville Booting says the new law is unconstitutional as it prohibits the company from continuing its more than 60 business contracts at a roughly 105 locations throughout Nashville. The company says it places boots on about 750 to 1,000 vehicles per month that are improperly parked in clients' lots. And parked properly, I'm quite sure means they didn't pay or, they might be using two spots, all types of things, whatever they deem that to be. Let me just see. I want to break that down. So I'm going to break out a calculator real quick. All right. So my calculator is up right now. And that thoughts. Hold that thought. Right. So you can't see my calculator, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it up. So they say 700 to 1,000 per month. I'm sure that they just threw a number out there, but let's just say it's 1,000, right? So divided by 4 is 250. We already know that. So divided by 7 days a week, and I would imagine it's so 35 35 cars a day. And so I don't know what they charged previously, but the 75 times 35, it would be about 26.25 per day. So about $2,600 a day on the low side. Well, no, that's on the high side. Yeah. So, yeah, they just need to invest that money in property. They need to invest that money in property. All right. So, is there any other information here? Yeah. And it's crazy because they were operating without a permit. So it says Nashville Booting and another company, Apex Parking, this year were forced to refund hundreds of drivers after they were found to be operating on an expired city permit. You know what? I mean, hell, and I doubt that those individuals got their refunds. How do you refund somebody? I know when I paid, I went in there. I gave them my credit card, and that was that on that. So it's kind of crazy to think that those 400 people or whatever it was actually received their money back. I'd bet that they didn't. So, and pulling it back to Memphis, so this is kind of crazy because, and just this story, and I'll just pull it from WREG. I don't know what has my computer going so slow today. So slow. So let's look at it. So A1, their towing permit suspended for 30 days after complaints. Now this story specifically happened back in March. This has been an ongoing deal though. This has been going on all 2024 and I believe into last year sometime. So the city's transportation commission voted unanimously to suspend A1's towing and hauling permit for 30 days during a hearing Thursday. Members said the penalty was due to various ordinance violations concerning the fees they were charging for towing and storage. That's where they get you. A1's towing and hauling, also known as A1's exclusive auto, had its towing and booting permits suspended back in November after the permits office received complaints from truck drivers from all over the country who claimed their vehicles had been illegally towed by A1's and they were forced to pay thousands of dollars to get them back. A1's owner, you can see his name, appeared before the Transportation Commission, and Chairman Kevin Kane had some strong words about his business practices. In this situation, I'm having a hard time wrapping my personal arms around this because of the multitude of complaints that seem to be reoccurring, Kane said. There's something wrong here. The permits office presented several new complaints made by truck drivers over the last few months and said A1 had violated ordinances dealing with towing and storage fees and payment methods. Kathy, the owner, claimed he was trying to work with permits licensed administrator, Ms. Yolanda Fully Love, but admitted he hadn't contacted the truck drivers who filed the complaints. Some of them don't have full names or contact information, said the owner. In these, I asked Fully Love what the remedy was and how I could talk to the person, and she did not respond. So here's an example. Tabrina Foster addressed transportation commissioners over the phone. The Mississippi woman had said she and her husband paid to park their 18-wheeler at a truck stop on East Shelby Drive. Yeah. But A1's towing still towed it. She said they were forced to pay nearly $3,000 to get the semi back. I heard them talking about all these large companies beside my complaint. And if I didn't speak up toward the end, nothing was going to be done, said Foster. After Foster testified, commissioners voted unanimously to suspend A1's towing permit for 30 days and said the business could be back for another hearing if it continued to violate the city ordinances. Foster says she contacted the city and the Better Business Bureau, say that 4 times, for help, but isn't counting on getting her money back. He had every excuse in the book on how he helps people. And if he gets a complaint, he responds. And that's just not true, Foster said. We are a small business. Our loads are terrible. We are barely getting paid. And that $2,900 I had to pull out of my 401k just to pay. And then the hearing comes as the state of Tennessee and U.S. Postal Service are investigating West Mallory Avenue Towing Company. City council members have also asked the permits office to create rules and regulations for tow truck companies to eliminate bad actors in the industry. I think that that's important. We do have to have rules and regulations put in place, and they need to be crystal clear so everybody is able to live in a symbiotic relationship in some form or fashion. So it's good that I haven't heard anything. Again, this was back in March. So I haven't heard anything as far as any updates from the permits office to see whether or not any rules or regulations have been created or where they are in the process. I know that it can't be done overnight, but it needs to be done quickly. Obviously, the trucking industry is huge. You have your highs and you have your lows. So right now, from my understanding, it isn't necessarily at a high. It's probably not at the lowest point it's ever been, but people aren't making as much money as they used to or can in the trucking industry. They have to get along and hustle through those points in times where, business isn't as fruitful or as plentiful. So that being said, truckers and truckers coming through Memphis, that is income coming into the city just from the truck stops. We're a main thoroughfare through here in the country. 9 times out of 10, when the Hernando de Soto Bridge was shut down, that was a major issue because we are a pipeline going through the country from east to west. And so for truckers to make a conscious decision not to stop in the city is a big problem overall. And due to 1 or 2 companies that are acting in bad faith, in regards to the entire city's well-being, that hurts us all. That hurts us all. And for what? Because I'm 100% sure you're still going to make money in the city. I don't understand what the gain is from you're hurting the economy of the city. And it's just one more thing for people to say, oh, Memphis this, Memphis that. No, it doesn't necessarily need to be the case, and more needs to be done, and it needs to be done quickly. I don't feel like this should take 3 to 4. It shouldn't take 3 to 4 months. There should be something put into place, and it should be transparent. So the next time we jump on to the city council meeting or whatever it is that we do, we'll listen closely to see whether or not something is in there about the trucking industry, these toll issues, because we need every stream of revenue coming into the city to continue to grow and build and improve our community.